everyone, welcome back to the Small Space Garden Series. I'm here again on the 7 by 11 area of my deck where we've been pretending we're on an apartment balcony, growing a lot of food in a little bit of space. We're doing it in a quick, simple, and inexpensive way, and we're having a lot of fun as we do it. Well, the Small Space Garden is looking absolutely amazing. We are producing a lot of food. We've got tomatoes growing, beans growing, kale, greens, flowers. It's been so much fun. And today is actually the last video in this series, although we'll probably come back and do some harvest and progress videos along the way. But today we're going to talk about how to compost in a small space using a 5-gallon container. Now, a lot of people think you can't compost in a small space. Not so. You don't have to have a big yard or a big space for a compost bin. I'm going to show you how to do it today in a 5-gallon container. So no matter how much or how little space you have for your garden, you can still have that beautiful black gold, which will give your garden organic nutrients and help it be very productive. Now, compost is a great way to add that good organic nutrients to your garden. And the best part about it is you can make it with materials you already have on hand. So it's free fertilizer for your garden. You can't beat that. It'll really help you grow a lot of veggies. We're going to be making our compost today in one of the 5-gallon Smart Pots container. And I started this compost about 6 weeks ago, and it's breaking down absolutely beautifully. Now, we're not going to make a hot pile. This is going to be a cold compost pile. But because of the way that we're going to make it, it's going to break down in about 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, look at that beautiful black garden gold, and it smells earthy and absolutely lovely. Before we get to composting, I wanted to let you know that in today's video, we're doing another giveaway for 3 of these 5-gallon CaliKim Smart Pots fabric containers. Now, here's how you enter. The drawing is open to U.S. residents only, and just make a comment below about something you learned from this video or how you're inspired to grow veggies because of this series. We're going to be doing the drawing on Monday, June 4th in our live stream at noon Pacific time. So make sure you come back and watch to see if you're the winner. Well, I can't wait to read all the comments you're going to leave below. It's always very inspiring, and good luck to all. Okay, you guys ready to build ourselves a little compost pile? Let's get to composting. Don't let the thought of making compost intimidate you. It's really very simple. We're going to break it down today so you know exactly what to do. The first thing you're going to need is a container of some kind. You can use a 5-gallon bucket, a pot that you have just sitting around. I'm going to use this 5-gallon Smart Pots. It's a fabric container, and one reason why I really like composting in this is because it's aerated. Now, compost needs a couple of things to break down: air and water, and of course your compost materials. But because the fabric is aerated, it really helps the compost break down quicker, which is nice because then you get to put it on your plants quicker and really use it to fertilize and feed your plants. The second thing you're going to need is some compost materials. Now, this is where a lot of people get confused and get tripped up, but don't let this scare you, okay, guys? When collecting materials for your compost pile, you need a good mixture of browns and greens. So first, let's start with the browns. The browns are what provide the carbon source, which gives energy to the microorganisms that are breaking down your compost. And typically, browns come from trees, such as shredded up leaves. You can use paper, newspaper. I'm using some packing material here. And next, you'll need to collect a good source of green material, which provides the nitrogen for your compost. And typically, the green material comes from food scraps. So here I have a bunch of banana peels. You can use any type of fruit scraps from your kitchen. Just don't use any meat or any dairy products such as cheese or milk. But you can also use coffee grounds, which is a great source of green material and provides a lot of nitrogen for your compost. And by the way, did you know you can get coffee grounds for free at Starbucks? So once you have your materials collected, you're ready to build your pile. Now, when you're composting in a small container, your container is not going to get hot. It's going to be a cold compost pile. So it's going to take a little longer to break down than a hot compost pile. But one of the ways you can help speed the breakdown process is by making sure that all your materials are chopped up very small. Now, we're going to go even further than chopping up very small. We're going to grind up our food scraps in our blender, and that will pretty much pulverize and liquefy them and really help speed down the breakdown process. So I'm just going to throw my banana peels in here. I'm not going to throw the big tops of the bananas in here because I don't want to get my blender all messed up. But you don't, this is like a, what is this? A Blendtec blender. You don't have to have a fancy blender. If you have a regular blender, just do that, or you can just chop up your materials very finely with a knife. So here we go. It's like I'm gonna have to add a little bit of water to get this thing moving along. Okay, our banana peel compost smoothie is all done. It's nice and pulverized in the blender. And again, you can just chop up your food materials if you want to with a knife if you don't have a blender. Let's see, this might need a little help coming out. It's nice and thick. And man, this is gonna make some good soup for our compost. I've got as much out of there as I can. Now that I've got my food scraps nice and broken down, let's grab our container and let's start making us some compost. Making your compost container is as simple as layering your browns and your greens. Now, don't get too caught up in the ratio of browns and greens. You generally want to stick to about a 3-to-1 ratio. 3 parts brown to 1 part green. Now, I'm going to put in some of my brown shredded up paper first, so that'll give a nice fluffy base to the bottom of the compost sack. And when I add on my banana compost smoothie, it'll help soak down the browns. So I've got a nice little pile of browns there. I'm gonna add in a handful of my smoothie stuff, and don't be afraid just to get in there with your hands, or you can use a scooper or a shovel or whatever you want. So just layer it in there. And I'm gonna add a few more coffee grounds here, or a handful of coffee grounds. And the smaller your materials, the better. So make sure you shred up your newspaper, chop it up into small little pieces, because that's what's gonna help the breakdown process. So I'm gonna add a little bit of water here. Get my materials nice and wet. I'm just gonna repeat this process of layering and watering until my compost container is full. And add in some shredded leaves. If you don't have leaves, don't worry about it. You can definitely make your compost bin with paper, with shredded cardboard, with straw for a source of your browns. Put in some more of my smoothie, some more coffee grounds. And then just keep layering and watering until your compost bin is full. You want your compost bin to be about as wet as a wrung out sponge. Mine is actually a little bit too wet right now, so I'm gonna add some more shredded leaves just to absorb the extra moisture. And if your bin doesn't get totally full, it's no big deal if you don't have enough materials collected. The important thing is just get started, get to composting, and compost will happen. Your materials will break down and you'll have beautiful black gold to feed your garden. Now here's what you need to do next. Cover your pile. A piece of plastic works really good. Put a couple of clips on it so plastic doesn't go flying off in the wind. And you're gonna put it in a sunny location because the heat from the sun will help break the compost down faster. Compost needs 2 things to break down. It needs air and it needs water. So you wanna check your container a couple of times a week to see if it's dried out. If it's dried out, you can just add some more water. Remember, it should be about as wet as a wrung out sponge. So if you can squeeze drops of water out of it, it might be a little bit too wet, and then you can add some more brown materials like shredded leaves or some more of the brown paper sacks or brown newspaper, whatever you have. And it also needs air. So another reason why I like the Smart Pots fabric container, again, is because it's aerated. It provides plenty of air for my compost to break down faster. I'm gonna get in here and stir it about once or twice a week to really help with that breakdown process. Well, I hope you found this video helpful and you now know how to build a compost pile in a 5-gallon container. Quick, simple, and inexpensive, and it'll give you some beautiful black gold to feed your garden. Well, now that we've done the work for the day, it's time to sit and relax and enjoy the garden. I mean, hasn't this series been fun? We started with an empty space, weren't growing any vegetables, and look at the transformation. We've got tomatoes, cucumbers, lettuce, flowers for the pollinators, greens, a lettuce tower, I mean, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for joining me, coming along in the process with me. Don't forget to comment below to enter the giveaway. And if you need seeds, you know where to go. CallieKimGardeningHome.com. You can get the small space seed collection, container-friendly varieties to help get you growing a lot of food in a little bit of space, just like we have here together on this series. Oh, and by the way, these containers here are now available for purchase on my website as well. Thanks so much for joining me on the series. We'll see you on the next video.